Well, we couldn't have picked a cooler day to have this event, could we? Trying to heat up Washington, D.C., correct? Most of you all that don't know who I am from the Tar Heel State, I am a college professor in a liberal arts environment. That always happens out there. But also I teach colonial history. And like many of you all who have actually read the Constitution, things just didn't add up. Things just did not make sense. And I would read, you ever heard about the First Amendment? And then you worry about the Second Amendment. And it's amazing. And when you're in this environment, it's like you have to reteach everything all over again. And so we have lots of concerns. You know, I have spent 3 summers down on the border with Arizona and Texas trying to make sense of Article 2, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution having to do with securing our borders and protection from domestic invasion. Anybody ever heard that problem? Trying to understand it. And I do want to dedicate at least a little bit of this to a close friend of ours who died, unfortunately, about this time last year. Some of you may know and remember Sheriff Larry Deaver, Cochise County, Arizona. And so it's thanks to him he educated us about what's really happening and trying to understand just how intense drug cartels and terror cells building across this land actually is. But folks, when we look around this Capitol building and we think back at the history of this place and we think of the Christian heritage, I was at a meeting a while back and they were saying that you should not have you should not have prayer in school. But I asked, well, have you ever heard where the name school came from? And they all got quiet, and I said there was a Catholic nun, her name was Scholastica. Your little kids, when they come home, have this little newsletter called what? Scholastica News. And she was working with her twin, that was Benedict of Nursia, to educate and teach people how to read a certain book. Anybody know what it was? The Bible. And so kids would go, and instead of saying Scholastica, they would say, we are going to school. So when you say you can't have prayer in school, it's like saying you can read the Bible, but you can't say Jesus. Or say you can talk about Harleys, but don't ride a motorcycle. And so it's always amazing to see people say, I didn't know that. And when you look at some of the educational systems and programs such as Common Core, in which you are going to be reading about how to properly read a recipe or a menu from a restaurant instead of Tom Sawyer, you wonder where America is going to go. And so that's why I encourage everyone, when your kids come home from school, this time actually read what they're having to read. And don't be afraid to speak up. There are people out there who want to hear you say something. Or else you're just going to have things like Common Core just coming right down your throat, and it will happen on your watch. And so I look at it not on my watch, that you need to find your educators and encourage them and say, we want you to tell the real truth, the real history, the real heritage of this nation. We want to really hear about the Founding Fathers. We don't want to hear any more about the progressive movement. We want to hear about the national independence movement, in which the Tea Party Patriots and other groups, this has been the fastest growing movement since 1765 after the Stamp Act. So let's teach them about that. So I thank you for the time, and God bless America, and God bless you.